Hey guys, before we go into this video any further, there is something we need to clarify from the very beginning, and that is that I have become a readathon junkie. Since I started my channel, readathons are probably one of the things that I have enjoyed most on BookTube. I love all the sorts of interactions and meeting new people and discovering new books, but those are sort of things that I did before BookTube also. But the one thing that hadn't even occurred to me that exists before BookTube is the concept of a readathon, and putting so much thought into preparing your TBR and sharing it with the world and everyone getting excited over this event all over the world, starting at the same time. There's something about the rush of the deadline of finishing something and just sharing your progress across the time. I love watching the readathon vlogs and the updates, and I've come to realize that a lot of the times readathons really pull me reading and they keep me focused on reading. They're really a great way of enjoying my reading. The reason why I feel like I need to say this is because this video is a little ridiculous in the sense that it is about my TBR for 3, perhaps even 4 readathons, and they are all taking place in April and they're pretty back to back. So assuming that I will be able to take part in all of them and read this, I'll be reading somewhere over like 12 books, which is a little crazy for me. I don't really read that much, but all these readathons are readathons that I'm extremely excited about. There are 4 readathons in April. The first one is from April 8th to April 10th, and it is TBR Takedown 3.5. And I think this is the first time I will be doing TBR Takedown. The second one is the first installment of the Genrethon, which was announced last week and is hosted by 4 really wonderful booktubers, and I'll be leaving all the information about all the hosts for all the readathons down below. The third one is Spring into Horror, which is more of a blog-based readathon, and it is about reading horror books. And the fourth one is Dewey's s24 Readathon, which I believe is overlapping with the Spring into Horror. I'm going to show you my TBRs in order, and if I get through them, I'm probably going to roll into the next TBR. So the first readathon, like I said, is TBR Takedown 3.5. This is pretty much about reducing your TBR. There's 4 challenges and you can group them. Technically, the challenges only allow for a minimum of 2 books, which is what I did. The first 2 challenges that I grouped together are read a standalone novel and read a book from your latest haul. And I picked The Strange Library by Haruki Murakami. This one I bought in March, and it is a very tiny book. It is very weirdly formatted, and it has like a huge font and a lot of illustrations in it, and it has about 80 pages total with all the illustrations. So I think this is perfect readathon material. I'm not exactly sure what this is about. I've seen it labeled both as fantasy and horror, and I didn't really know that Haruki Murakami writes anything like horror, so I'm really curious to read this. The third and fourth challenges that I also grouped together were catching up on a series and a book that you have on your shelf for either the longest or for over a year. So I picked one that has been on my shelf for a little over a year. This one is actually the 4th book in a series, and I am super excited to read this. This was a gift to me, and this is Beauty's Kingdom by Anne Rice. This is the 4th book in the Sleeping Beauty series by Anne Rice. The Sleeping Beauty series is an erotica series written by Anne Rice. Actually, I think it was meant as a trilogy. The first 3 books are The Claiming of Sleeping Beauty, Beauty's Punishment, and Beauty's Release. And I read those when I was in high school, and I was a big fan back then. I haven't read them since, so I'm not sure how I will feel about this because it's been a long time since I read those. I was super excited when I heard that she was coming out with a new book. This came out last year, and I really don't know why it's been sitting on my shelf for so long. So that was my TBR for the first readathon. The second readathon, like I said, is Genrethon, and the challenges are to read at least 3 books from 3 different genres. I picked 5 books for this, and they're all really tiny books. Their genre categories according to Goodreads. The first one that I picked is Go Ask Alice, a real diary by an anonymous writer. This is a diary of a 15-year-old drug user, and this is categorized on Goodreads as realistic fiction. The second book is categorized by Goodreads as historical fiction, and it is When the Emperor Was Divine by Julie Otsuka. The author is Japanese American, and I'm not exactly sure what this book is about. The third book that I have on my list is categorized as fantasy, and it is from South Korea. It is The Hen Who Dreamt She Could Fly by Sun Mi Hwang. I heard that it was very emotional and very powerful, and I'm really looking forward to it. The next book is categorized as literary fiction. The book is The Humbling by Philip Roth. I haven't read anything by Philip Roth before. This one is apparently about a man, an aging actor who is forced out of the spotlight, so it's more about his life and dealing with that stage where he is in his life. The last book on my list for Genrethon is LMNOP, a novel in letters by Mark Dunn. This is categorized as humor and fantasy on Goodreads. I'm not exactly sure what this is about. Actually, I have really no clue what this is about. I just vaguely remembered Vika from One Book One Review mentioned this last year in one of her videos. She had very good things to say about it. That was all for the Genrethon TBR, and now moving on to the Spring into Horror TBR, which also includes Dewey's 24-hour Readathon TBR. Part of me thinks this is a little ridiculous because if I actually get through the first 2 Readathons and read all that, I know that I'm probably gonna feel like taking a break. I don't think I'm gonna feel like jumping into yet another Readathon, but thinking that these are all horror novels and none of the other books are horror, maybe it's gonna be a good change and it's gonna give me more of a push to read more. For this, I have 5 books that I wanted to read. The first one I was planning to read in March, and it is Confessions by Kanae Minato. This is a Japanese crime psychological thriller. It's not technically horror. I've seen the movie adaptation of this a few times and I loved it, and everyone I've introduced to the movie really liked it too. The next 2 books on my list are actually what you would call non-fiction horror, and I'm not talking about true crime, I'm talking about like paranormal seeings, and I bought these when I was in Key West last year, and they are Robert the Doll and Ghosts of Key West. They're both by David L. Sloan, and they are just small stories with a lot of illustrations and stuff of the seeings of ghosts and different paranormal events that have taken place in Key West. Next up, I have a tiny little book which is called Your House is on Fire, Your Children All Gone by Stefan Kisby. This cover is just absolutely gorgeous, and I don't know anything about this. I just assume it has creepy kids in it because of the cover and because of the title, obviously. I love this cover, and it has some writing hidden on it, and if you put it in the light, it says, "If you tell on me, you're dead," which is pretty cool, and I'm really looking forward to this. I bought this close to Halloween last year, but I didn't get a chance to read it. The last book on this horror list is Hell House by Richard Matheson. I bought this in February, and I am really curious to pick this up. This will be my first Matheson book, and I heard a lot of good things about this. I bought it because it was on a list of best horror books to read before you die. I believe it is about a haunted house because of the title, but I don't really know anything else about it. And I'm really excited to read this, as I am for all the other books in this video. This has been it for all my TBRs, for all the readathons in April. I know this is crazy. I don't think I'll be reading all of them, but I'll be doing my best. They're all books that I'm really excited to read. Just to realize how really crazy this is, I stacked them all up. The idea of reading all this in 2.5 weeks seems really crazy, but who knows. Don't forget to check my description box for all the information of the readathons if you want to take part. And let me know what you're planning to read for all the readathons you're taking part in. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon with another video. Have a great day. Bye.